I want to be completely honest with you.
Honesty. Love it. Let's hear it.
So, the other day when I dropped Roland off, Milan kissed me. Well, we kissed.
Cutie from Harlem, look what you started. Usually I walk away and leave it all behind. Usually I walk away.
Black and sexy, baby.
My name is Jarrett. I am the host of Back to Reality, a podcast where that many of these people have been on already and will soon be coming to Black and Sexy this summer as a web series. And I am very happy to be able to welcome the cast and creators of Roomy Lover Friends and Hello Cupid. All right, so as you may or may not know, Roomy Lover Friends and Hello Cupid will be returning to Black and Sexy this summer with new seasons, all new episodes. And we're going to talk first to Jay and Tamiko, or Shayla and Andre, about Roomy Lover Friends. I guess the first thing I want to know is, what has Roomy Lover Friends been like for you guys?
It's been a lot of things. I've got to meet a great group of people, especially the ones that I meet in the street that love the show. Altogether, it's a great experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. Just to sum it up in one word, we have the opportunity to do something that we love to do, and as Shayla just mentioned, we've met a group of people who are now family. The thing about working on a show like Roomy Lover Friends and working with Numa and Dennis is they give us the opportunity to add our own little nuances to these characters. We go by the script, but a lot of what you see is just me and Shayla ad-libbing and just going off the cuff. And
we know that some of it is improv and some of it is scripted. Kind of talk to us about what it's like to be able to take a piece of material and develop it into an improv moment, or kind of what it will be later.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like being constricted. I like doing my own thing. And the great thing about Dennis and Numa is that sometimes they'll let us go and they won't let us stop. You know, they won't pigeonhole us. Yeah, we'll rehearse, right? And Dennis will go, no, stop, just stop. And I'm like, what did I do? He's like, no, because we have to shoot. You know we have to shoot this.
keep it fresh.
Right, and it's just great. I mean, yeah.
Dennis and Numa, I understand the show is kind of based on your relationship. Is this true?
No. No.
Those are allegations.
No. Oops. That was the couple. The first season especially was definitely based on a true story of mine. Many years ago. I was living with a guy and things happened. Things got really complicated. And yeah, and so it was definitely interesting in creating and developing the show with Dennis, who is my man now.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you just finally admit it that you guys are?
This is inside
the secret
Black
is out
and
the bag?
Sexy. This is inside Black and Sexy. To develop the stories, with him and have to kind of go into certain details about things was complicated, but it makes for good storytelling.
You guys have some pretty intimate moments that, I mean, I'm sure some of it is improv, I'm sure some of it is scripted, but then other people have asked, like, do you think they're, like, actually together, or, like, there's ever been, like, a romantic moment between the two of you? So I'm not asking for me.
Oh, uh-huh.
I'm just saying that's what I was asked.
All right, so I'll answer this question. Yes, it is true. Shayla and I are not together.
Well played. So I guess one of the questions that I really wanted to kind of get an idea of is, what do you guys see for the characters? Like, when you think of Jay, like, what does Jay want?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, that was it.
All right. So moving on. Shayla.
No, I don't know exactly if Jay knows what he wants. Jay wants companionship in some capacity, and he obviously wants it with Tamiko. But for some odd reason, the timing always seems to be wrong. Early in the episodes, it was Tamiko who wanted the commitment, and Jay was still playing around. And then he finally got himself together and thought he can approach her and say, "Okay, I'm ready now, so we're gonna do this." And she kind of played him. So it's kind of this seesaw back and forth relationship dynamic between the two of them.
Can I clear up something? I think it was Jay that wanted this first.
Okay.
Guys always want to put it on the woman. But as we can see, he came into her room and wanted to be with her, correct?
He just wanted to play.
Oh.
Well, bringing it current, you guys in the finale, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the finale, you guys go out on what's a really great date. And it seems like Jay is pretty clear that he wants to be there, and Tamiko is pretty clear that she wants to be there, but there's never really like a conversation about what the relationship is. So where does the relationship stand right now as we go into season 3?
We kicking it.
We kicking it.
She has Jay on a trial basis.
Okay.
So if you remember in one of the early episodes, when Jay came in the room to play, she checked him and said, take me on a real date. Take me out in public. Show me that, you want to get to know me outside of the confines of this bedroom. So that's what he did. He stepped up, got creative, took her on a series of dates. What we tried to show you guys were they were becoming closer on more than just a physical sexual level. Things kind of went sour at the end of that episode, so we'll see how it plays out.
Kind of talking about the status of your relationship, it kind of makes me wonder, have we seen the last of Sharice?
Never.
Okay. Sharice has been kind of like the thorn in the relationship between the two of you guys.
Well, yeah. Sharice, this is just, it's real life, when there's that type of relationship that some would label toxic or some would just label just ongoing, it just tends to just keep going on. Even if those two people separate for a long period of time, date other people, they always wind up back together again. And that's really Jay and Sharice, and it's kind of figuring out what would it really take to make a very final break between them, and would that ever happen, or would this go on forever and ever? We're actually going to be exploring Jay and Sharice. We're doing a prequel, a short film that explores how Jay and Sharice met and what their relationship was like together, and that will be coming out very soon when we shoot it.
I will say, I know Yanni, personally, but watching the show, I kind of hate her, which makes me feel weird. Sharice is a really tough character to like sometimes when she just walks in to the house or is going through your things. You talked about the creative development of the characters. I want to talk to Brian for a second about the creative on the show. You do the cinematography and graphics for the show. Can you talk to us about the perspective that you brought to Roomy Lover Friends and what you wanted to do?
Well, like they said, we're not allowed to rehearse, and that means camera as well. So if stuff's a little out of focus sometimes, it's because that's literally the first take that any of us has done. And the real goal with these shows is to provide an intimate, but provide space for them to do whatever they want, whenever they want. Dennis and I have been working together for years, and we've sort of have a shorthand for basically just lighting a room, making a room, camera ready. So there's no okay, cut, now move the camera over here and change lights and everybody stop. They can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and we have to be ready to do that. And so in a lot of these shows, we end up spending more time in post on that. Editorially, it's a very specific skill set that our editors and Dennis have to really take that type of footage and make something cohesive.
Yeah, it's a mess, is what he said. But it's a pretty mess. It's a pretty mess. I think it's one of those things where, just to piggyback what Brian was saying, is that the same way I think we're talking about as far as Andre and Shayla feel as far as acting, we feel the same way We want something real and authentic, and usually the first time is the best time. Sometimes they do it a few times and they get to a certain place, but we want all of that, you know? So in trying to get all of that and trying to get the most authentic thing, it requires to be creative, because sometimes we have a script, it may not be exactly how it was, or we may have a shoot and maybe not exactly how we shot it in the editing, because we just want to come to a place that feels, that just works. Something that works is more important than something that we were trying to get that we didn't get. I think a lot of people make a mistake and they sort of try to get what they wanted, and sometimes you got to get what it is. And I think that's the best way to say it.
Shayla and Andre, I'm curious about what you bring to the character. Like, how much of Shayla is in Tamiko, and how much of Tamiko is in Shayla? Like,
Maybe her feistiness.
okay.
I love how Tamiko can be feisty at times, and she can even be kind of rude.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So
We've seen those moments.
I sometimes, you want to be rude to people, but you can't.
Okay.
So I get to be free with Tamiko and do that in circumstances that I wouldn't be able to do.
You could
on my
explore
own.
that side of yourself
Yeah.
in Tamiko. All right, Andre?
For me, Jay is just a character. I can definitely relate to him more so in my earlier years, back in the good old college days. What I try to do for every character that I play, I try to take bits and pieces of people that I know who act like that character. So I know a lot of people who act like Jay, different facets of Jay's personality, but I'm not Jay.
You're not Jay, to be clear. All right.
Y'all saw the audition though. So
Wait, what happened in the audition?
No, let me add one thing to it. The reason why Andre got cast, who, by the way, he crashed. We say this a million times, but he crashed the audition. So he wasn't even called in. He just walked by, said, "There's black people. Let me try."
he wasn't submitted. I'm sure we would have called him in if he had.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, with men, it's hard. It's difficult. But because he was authentic, a real person, he wasn't trying to be nice. He has an asshole side of him. Sorry. Same as me.
No, guilty as charged.
And then he has a sweeter side of him, and it's just like you just want somebody to be a real person, be a real man, and just that's it. You know what I mean? And so when he walked in and sat down, and he had a little swagger, he had a little attitude, we said, all right. He was late the second time, you know what I mean? But it was kind of like, all right, is a real person, and he came in, and then obviously it's the chemistry between Andre and Shayla that was the most important thing. It doesn't matter what they are separately, but together they were stronger, and so that's really why they both secured the job.
And I wanted to revisit something you said earlier. It's a compliment that people actually think that me and Shayla are a real couple, because you should have saw the conversation between us when we had our first on-screen kiss. Because it was the first kiss for me on screen and the first kiss for her on screen.
Okay.
So it went something like this. All right, so is there anything I should know? Should I not do? Should I not
like
do?
a foot-long tongue or something? Like, I don't know what you could have expected her to say.
Because as a man, I didn't want her to feel uncomfortable. So I wanted to make sure that she was comfortable with me kissing her and making it look real. You remember that conversation on the couch?
Girl, do not front.
That sounds like a no.
So if it came off authentic to the point where people actually hit us up, be like, "Oh, they in a real relationship, they together," I could tell. Then that's kudos to Shayla and myself.
All right. So humble. I'm curious about the process for coming up with the storylines for every episode. Can you talk to us about the process of writing an episode?
I'm gonna tell you how it started. So she told me the story that the guy was originally based on, and after I was not mad anymore. I'm just playing. I'm pretty cool and open. But I think we were living in Koreatown at the time, and I don't know how it came out. Who said it should be a show? I think she was talking, and I feel like I may have said, this is a show, I guess.
It was you.
It was me? Okay, thank you. And then what happened, we went to New York and had a trip. We never really got to writing it. And then when you go out of town, you just start writing. I don't know, you just feel free. Either when you go out of town, when you come back home, you just feel really free and open. We just had a basic idea. And then for some reason, I was just like, I got out of bed and get the laptop and just started writing. And I would ask her, I would try things out, and then she would ask me questions. Wait, let me just finish this, read this, and that's how it went back and forth. I think I do a lot of the writing, but you can't write by yourself and have a full perspective. So Numa comes in and goes, okay, well, you know what, I think it needs this spin, so she'll write it over again. But I think the best sort of example, I think, for the most part, is that I think the Sharice, the Breakfast Club, it was Austin, Sharice, Jay, and Shayla.
Initially, it was supposed to be, I can't remember, it was supposed to be that Sharice came back and had seen the cell phone photo.
Yeah.
The original script was that she sees a cell phone photo and she sets up Tamiko in a way that she comes home, and when Tamiko opens the refrigerator, she's supposed to be standing there with the photo, this like naked,
All our juice. in the
you
locker.
know. And then the day of the shoot, I don't know what came over me, but I just thought, wait a second, if Sharice shows this photograph right now, we're going to miss out on this whole opportunity for these two couples to face off. We had it that Austin and Tamiko had just kissed at the door. We didn't see the coming upstairs part. I don't remember exactly. But if Sharice had shown that photograph in that moment, which is what we had in the script, we would have missed out on the whole breakfast and the whole texting thing. We talked to Shayla about it because that would mean that some people might think that her character and Austin's had slept together. So we had that discussion with her real quick, like, hey, this might be construed this way to some people, but we want to change it, and we want to change it right now. And, you know, Tamiko, Shayla, is a joy to work with because she rolls with it. She trusts us. She doesn't go to battle over being judgmental in that way at all, which is really refreshing. And so we changed it on the spot, and then we were able to write that scene and have that happen.
It's a scene that you've seen or felt before in real life or TV, but we wanted it to feel different. And it's always trying to find that way of like, how can we express these things that we all know are familiar in a different way? And that's how the texting came out. Like, instead of them, hey, I saw you, and nah, you did my man. It was like, how can it be really full attention and be really fresh? And the texting thing came out of that.
So again, that's another way that we just collaborated well on that. It's like, I knew this one piece had to change, and then he knew that we should add this layer, and then we had one of our favorite scenes come out of that.
All right. We're going to transition to Hello Cupid. Before we do that, what are you guys working on outside of what you're doing on Roomy Lover Friends? Andre, I know you have a series starting.
I just wrapped season 1 on my new show I'm starring in called Black Jesus. It's on Adult Swim, so it premieres August 7th. And if any of you guys are fans of Aaron McGruder, the creator of the Boondocks, then you will absolutely love the show Black Jesus.
It's also on YouTube, the early ones, so that's good.
Yeah.
It started on the web. Black Jesus started on the web. Trivia.
I think actually Black Jesus started back in Bethlehem.
Amen.
That's what I was told. I don't know. On Christmas morning.
We're going to get technical.
I don't know.
I just finished an independent film called The B Word, and I'm training for another track film called The Reason.
Nice. All right. So transitioning over to Hello Cupid. Hello Cupid cast. We're down there. You guys have been on my show, and we've talked to you guys a lot about your characters and where they're going and where they come from. Ashley, I know that Hello Cupid comes from you largely. Can you talk to us about where Hello Cupid got started?
Yes, I can. It was a time in my life when I was, wanted more dating prospects. I felt like dating in LA was kind of whack. I had some friends back home on the East Coast who were like, girl, you need to try online dating. Like, you got to get on OkCupid. You got to try, what is the other one? Plenty of Fish. Like, we're just really encouraging me to try it. So I got on, and I literally for, I think, like a day, maybe 2 days, and I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing I have ever experienced. Like, the caliber of men that were hitting me up was just like, I was like, there's no way I would ever talk to any of these guys. Then I was like, this is a show. I was like, this is a show. Like, this girl who, like, really is, like, looking for love, kind of, and has kind of exhausted all of her options. And even when she goes to the medium that she feels like may be able to help her, she still feels like she's not getting anywhere. I sat down with Lena, who's a really close friend of mine. I told her about Hello Cupid. She was like, now that's a good idea. Then we kind of talked about it more and added some things. I wanted Hello Cupid to live somewhere. I wanted to go somewhere where I felt like they had similar content and whatever. So met with Dennis and Newman. They loved it, and then they added their like spin to it, and that's how you have Hello Cupid. But it truly grew out of a frustration of me wanting to work more, and 2, a frustration of me wanting to date more. So that's where it came from.
How did the story evolve to involve Haley Marie Norman?
So Whitney always had like a friend or whatever, and then Lena suggested Haley. How did you guys know each other again?
I was hired by a casting director to do a table read series with Lena. And it was the first time that I ever met her, and I was really blown away by the work that she was doing. I felt like she had a voice that a lot of people weren't expressing. So I worked with Lena on that, and then she wrote the character for me, pretty much.
Yeah,
like
with
the
her
character
in
was
mind.
written. Yeah, she wrote the character with me in mind. Like wrote the entire script and then emailed me at 3 a.m, being like, I feel like you're the type of person that doesn't really sleep very well at night. Like, so I wrote this with you in mind. Do you want to do it? And I said yes.
And then we did like a chemistry read at Black and Sexy headquarters. They thought we were friends before. Like we met that day. I had never met her before, and it just worked.
It really is, I feel like, the perfect odd couple pairing because Ashley and I are like, we get along and we have a great chemistry, but we're like just so inherently different from each other in a way that would make us truly like the perfect odd couple.
Yeah.
What were you guys thinking about the audience? Like, what did you want to say to the audience with Hello Cupid?
Well, a piece of trivia about Hello Cupid is that the initial concept for the show was about a black woman and a white friend, and that show we were completely excited about. That, you know, that's the first thing that Ashley had emailed over to me, and I took it to Dennis right away, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. It's going to be great. He loved it. It's going to be great. And then over a course of days of talking about it, we just said, you know, what if this were another black girl? What if it were a lighter skinned black woman instead of a white woman? And what if we were able to explore like more nuances about race? Because if it had been a white woman, it would have been, I guess, more overt. We took that back to Ashley and Lena, and they molded over. They thought it was a good idea as well. And then the script kind of got rewritten from there. I don't know if you knew that, Haley, but
I had the order wrong.
I'll give you a little bit of trivia.
Yes, trivia?
yeah, lots of trivia.
There's something you don't know.
It's inside Black and Sexy.
We had a backup light-skinned girl in the waiting in the wings just in case you didn't work out.
Well,
Lena really recommended you very strongly. We never met you either, and I wasn't aware of your work. But when you came in and the two of you read together, and it was so strong and it was so good, it was undeniable at that point. You know,
we actually auditioned her before you.
oh, good.
There's a small discussion on being light skinned versus being dark skinned, and obviously we kind of tackle that in the series Yellow as well now on Black and Sexy. I was curious if that is something that we will see more of a discussion around with Hello Cupid and as well as in Yellow.
Here's the thing about it is that, you know, we were definitely interested in exploring what that is, because I know that too. I mean, I have, you know, a close friend who's very fair, and there's just a lot of things that go unspoken between us, even though we're very close, that we wanted to try to mirror that in the series in some way, where it's not necessarily that they're always talking about it, but it's always in the air. It's this unspoken thing about who's attractive and what happens with men and how they feel about themselves. It's a very sensitive topic, and our audience, you know, they want to see two friends being great friends. They don't want to go into those areas, just like the two friends in real life don't want to go into those areas either. That's why no one ever really talks about it. So we're always trying to walk that delicate line, because, you know, on one hand, people will feel like, like their heart is broken because they don't want to go into those areas because they want these two women to be the great friends that they are. But at the same time, there's another segment that feels refreshed that some of these things are coming to the surface. So all of us have had to kind of deal with that. I think, you know, Ashley and Haley can speak to that. As actors, they've come to us and like, I don't want to be portrayed this way. I don't want to be seen like this. So we've had to you know, really kind of deal with that with each episode. But then there's this whole other storyline going on as well, which is about love and about other things. So you don't want to get too bogged down in that.
Moving on to the male cast members of the show, we have Brandon Scott and Austin J is here in the front row. We meet Brandon as Proud Dad, and I think a lot of people probably refer to him as Proud Dad more than
I do
as
in
they
real
do as
life.
Cassius.
We went out on Wednesday night, and I just kept calling him Proud Dad.
I think I probably think of him as Proud Dad more than I think of him as Cassius. Brandon, I'm curious about what is your perspective on Cassius?
You know, Cassius, he's an interesting character because what's exciting about exploring him is you know, he came out of this relationship, or he's dealing with this his past relationship that I think that defines like that Facebook status. I don't even know if it's there anymore. Like, it's complicated. And so he's in transition between having been with someone since he was in high school, and started a family with them, and really thought that's where his life was going, and then to have that kind of fall apart, and it found himself kind of like Walter White in Breaking Bad, you know.
Really?
Just kind of. I mean, he's just meaning. That's how I like. I like to see him as, you know, he's kind of, but I think he's trying to kind of see what he was missing, you know, for the past, you know, so and so years. But also, I think Cassius is inherently a good guy, and so there's a part of him that just wonders, you know, maybe what boundaries can he push. But I think his moral compass is always going to bring him back.
I think it's interesting, in this premiere we kind of see Cassius kind of go on a date with both Robin and Whitney at the same time. So it's almost like he's getting the best of every world, because he still has like the ex-wife at the house, both of these girls taking flowers from him.
Explodes though. How long can that last for?
Well, I'm guessing not long, but
we might be playing him, so.
Oh. Well, speaking of getting played, let's talk to Austin.
Poor Austin.
I really want to know, as
Shake it out. Shake it out.
yo, check
As
it.
you see, as you see, I'm the only person that has to stand up.
Austin, as the only light-skinned male in the room, I feel like you get played a lot on every show that you're on. What is Austin's real background? Like, what is his motive? What does he want?
With the character of Austin transitioning from Roomy Lover Friends to Hello Cupid, I think that besides calling Tamika a whore, and I did apologize to her before I even shot that scene. I said, I do apologize. I am so sorry. I think that this is just a guy that doesn't live in his looks. There are certain people that live in their group, they're labeled. Like, she probably encountered certain things, so she went online and she's like, I need something different. You know what I'm saying? She didn't abide by that. That's what I'm saying. So with Austin's character, he is a nice guy, but because of how he might look or how he carries himself, he's portrayed a different way, and he's just looking for love in so many ways. So some people might look at him like, oh, he's awkward. He's this guy that just can't find a woman or whatever it may be, and he's just trying to figure out what he really wants, because he doesn't really know what he wants.
I'm curious with Dennis Numa and Ashley, in casting the two men on the show, there's a light-skinned guy and a dark-skinned guy. Did that have anything to do with the conversation that we had earlier, with the way that you cast them?
No, it had less to do with it than it may seem. You know,
you just wanted to make fun of Austin on this series.
No, we wanted to cross the series over, and we were like, it's got to be Austin. Austin has to cross over and be part of this show as well. With Brandon, you know, we were really searching. It's always difficult casting men. It's always, I mean, you guys should, you know, round of applause for our men. Our women too, but it's, you know, when we get really excited when we find the right man for a role, because it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's just always really difficult. It's just like a lot of corny dudes come through.
Brandon,
you know, it's just hard. And
we knew with Brandon. Though.
Yeah, when Brandon came into the audition, I don't remember. It was like, they say it's always one thing you do in the audition, and it was so true. It was like this one thing that you did, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I just know I laughed. Dennis laughed, which never happens. You know, Brandon just came in with a certain charm and a certain just thing about him that he was our guy.
Don't blow him up too much, Numa. You know how he gets.
Well,
I
mean, also,
then,
I was
Austin,
acting with Ashley right
here.
I
mean,
so,
yeah,
you know.
Ashley was bringing it. You were really bringing it. You know, every corny guy that would come in, Dennis would be like, you know who I like? Ashley. You know?
Kind of in rapid fire succession, what does Whitney want?
Whitney wants to be loved. She wants to have the boyfriend that she cooks dinner for, and they watch movies, and that she wants that ideal picture perfect situation that every woman wants. But I think that what Whitney is dealing with in her maturity, how to deal with, is that nothing is that perfect. There's obstacles, there's trials and tribulation, there's wives, there's babies, there's all sorts of things. So I think that Whitney wants what's perfect, and she's trying to deal with how to not lower her expectations, but realize that everything's not going to be perfect. You have to go through stuff if you want that ideal situation. You know, they always say when you're playing a character, there are a lot of times parallels that come about. And I too, I think I'm in a place in my life where I want that aspect of my life to kind of align. I feel like so many other aspects have aligned, and I'm waiting for that aspect to align too. So I definitely have that in common with Whitney's character.
What does Robin want, Haley?
I think that Robin sort of likes to hide under the guise of like being a little bit more carefree and really being there for Whitney since this whole thing started off with Whitney. But I do think that underneath it all, you know, Robin wants the same things. People wear masks in life, or they try to pretend like maybe they're like people. It's hard to admit that you're lonely, you know, and it's great to be able to surround yourself with friends and have that company. But really, like, partnering off with somebody it's an amazing feeling. So I think Robin deals with it in a little bit more of a lighthearted way. But I do believe that at the end of the day, she wants the same thing as Whitney, which is why we're in the conundrum that we're in, is because now we have a guy in this situation who's a great guy, you know, who we both could potentially and are liking. Well, but this is the thing, though, and this is what I love about doing Black and Sexy shows, and this is what I love about Hello Cupid, is that you know, it deals with the aspects of life that are messy, which is really, when you think about it, all of life. And so it's interesting for me playing this character of Robin is I feel like I'm playing like a more naive version of myself. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and it's so easy for me to like, I want to like love everybody and give them the best, you know, like just believe the best in anybody. And a lot of times I end up, you know, getting my heart hurt or whatever. So I feel like I'm sort of like watching Robin act in a way that I might have done years before, which is kind of go blindly into a situation because she meets this great guy, you know. I met somebody before who I dated for a little bit, and I didn't realize that he had been recently separated from his wife. So it's such a real situation. It's a real thing that happens. And I feel like on a lot of shows and television shows, they like to make everything sort of pretty or very like neat or all make sense. But this, you know, this show deals with a lot of the gray area. And the gray areas where we all live and where our hearts break and, you know, where we grow and learn as people.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Brandon, what does Cassius want?
I gotta follow that. You might as well just drop.
You got an applause, so you're gonna have to really do well.
What does Cassius want? He wants his cake and to eat it too, you know. Piggybacking on what she said, I mean, I think it was great the turn, the twist, because Cassius was presented as this great guy, and then, you know, of course you can't. I mean, you know, that's what's real about him, is that, you know, he's got his problems and his faults and his you know, his situations, but I think Cassius really he's trying to figure out how to be, you know, a good guy. But I think he definitely wants love, is afraid of love after his last situation, and then also I think he just wants to find some calm in his life. But right now he's enjoying the storm a little bit. So,
Austin, in fairness to light-skinned black men in the room, what does Austin want? It's really just me and him, you guys. Come on.
I think what I said earlier is just Austin doesn't necessarily know exactly what he wants when it's there. It can come off awkward, but he just knows he wants love in some type of capacity. And this is real life, y'all. It's a docu satire. Yeah, I mean, even the transition from Tamiko to Whitney. You can see the transition on him trying to come off cool with Tamiko. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, then that didn't work, so maybe I should just be cool and honest with Whitney. And then that didn't work, so now he just keeps going through this transition of trying different ways to...
You should feel bad. You should.
I have to do him like that.
It's not easy.
And then I go and I call. Now I feel bad.
It wasn't right.
All of y'all should feel bad.
Sorry.
Brian, you, as we said, you're the creative director and you do cinematography. The premiere of season 2 of Hello Cupid, it looks visually a little bit different. Amazing. Can you talk to us about what's different in season 2?
We've been throwing this term around like cinematic, and it makes me nervous and stresses me out a little bit. But we tried a little bit with this one to to have it be a little bit prettier. And even with Hello Cupid, I think from the beginning, we use a little bit nicer camera. It's still just sort of us doing it. But I think mostly my main job is to just not make the camera shake when Haley says crazy shit. Because it's amazing.
Sure. Say crazy shit.
Her improv is devious. It's insane. It's tricky with this show because you want the two characters to really have equal weight in the scene. So we spend some time blocking that way a little bit more. And that Lamert Park stuff I thought was absolutely gorgeous, and it made me so happy because we were going back and forth about what we were going to do with, were we going to pick a camera that was technically superior or worked well in low light. And we, at the last minute, made the decision for low light, and we went out to Lamert Park with no crew, no lights, and just us and the camera, and it was amazing.
Kind of hanging with creative direction and cinematography. The finale of Roomy Lover Friends, there was a lot of POV kind of shooting, which we weren't used to. Can you talk to us about the differences in the way you would do Hello Cupid episodes versus Roomy
So
Lover
I
Friends?
was on that date with them, and it was my cinematography. I thought was no.
I was like, I thought he was really holding the camera.
That was me
Yeah.
in Shayla.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what's so great about having all the shows is we really have the opportunity to have all different techniques. And so it's great to be able to hand a camera to somebody and know that it's gonna, they did an amazing job. And I really like, Yellow is shot like this, that guy. They're all different, styles. But ultimately what I think is that as long as the performances are honest, we're just there to sort of capture it. And you shooting this raw, you really see it when it's fake. That's what's so important. And so the struggle to sort of get honest, performances really comes through when you don't have a crew and all that stuff trying to make it look, trying to like smooth it out.
Hello Cupid has some really cool visual effects as well with the instant messaging and all that kind of stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's my day job is I do visual effects, so it's fun to do that stuff for our own things rather than for other people's shows. Hello Cupid is a very time-consuming show. It's probably our most time-consuming show because we have to sit there and figure out when the little bleeps go up and design this whole world of online interactive stuff and make it work for story and visually and be pretty and all that.
He's not being completely honest. There's been a lot of cussing. There was a lot of profanity for the first season and a lot of late nights, no sleeping for days on end. I think we locked ourselves into a schedule last year where we didn't know what was going to happen with the show. We just like, let's try it out. Every new show is like, let's try it out. Then become successful. You're like, we gotta keep making this show. and then we said it's gonna be 2 weeks later, and then it got crazy because Brandon's real band. So we try to bring real life stuff in and bring people to their character. And so he had a band and he was talking about it. And we're like, man, it'd be a really great idea to have him actually be, a musician and a recording artist and have his band. So his band was playing and they set it up and he had some place he played before. I think that episode that we shot was episode 8 of last season. We shot it on a Wednesday night and it went out Sunday night. And that was the craziest one ever. Once, everybody's shooting and they go home, there is it takes almost double the time it takes to shoot to actually finish the show. Brian's doing coloring. So that's just balancing, and that's one thing. That's what we do with every show. But then the graphics, and then the timing, and then sound. It's that was I think to have it still be good was the craziest thing ever. You know what I mean? So I think that's where we have a shorthand where, like he's saying, we just sort of keep going. We're not always working in the same space, and we just communicate by phone or text. And that's kind of how we operate and get these shows done. We're really just proud that we can actually bring this all together. That last season was very difficult, and I think this season we'll try to do something different. But that's my point.
Last thing I want to ask is, I think everyone probably is in love with the songs on these shows, the theme songs. Can you guys tell us where these theme songs came from?
For my film, A Good Day Be Black and Sexy, there was these. I was on MySpace and I ran across these artists called Lego Dolores. It's a sister group out of Chicago. So I asked to license their song for the movie. So that was the beginning of our relationship. Then we, myself and Newman met them while we screened the film a while ago, blah, blah, blah. So when we came down to actually Roomy Lover Friends, I was like, you know what? I want this 808 beat SOS band type sound. And so I'm forgetting a person, Henry. He's actually a producer. He actually did music on my film. So I'm taking the same people from that particular venture and saying, hey, you know what, let's come up with something new. So it took a while. Lego Dolores flew out here and then we recorded the track for Roomy Lover Friends. And then I said, man, it's really successful. People love it. So why are we, I've got to go back to the same well. And so we said it had the same idea for Hello Cupid, but I wanted to approach it in a different way. And I said, let's do it a cappella. Let's figure out something. So the girls just did it on their own. They produced it, they wrote it, and they came up with that. And there was a remix coming for the season 2, by the way. For myself, I literally wanted to be a music producer, and I thought that was what I was going to get into. And so I'm just bringing that desire and that skill set without the actual, physical production of it, and talking to people. And I love independent music. I don't listen to anything else. I don't listen to anything commercial. So if I'm listening to something you hear around the house, every time the actors come over that, it's always someone underground. So our ears are always to the streets and really finding the actual people who have like their finger on the pulse of something nice and haven't been discovered and probably may never get discovered. Who knows? You know what I mean? But it's like, how can we bring them to our ecosystem of Black and Sexy TV? And we like to talk about like it's AOL back in the day where people thought that was the internet, So it's the same kind of thing. We bring people in and we're feeding them back to the audience, and the audience feeds them back, and everybody loves it as far as the recording artists because they go, wow, I got, people are tweeting us, people are following us, people this and that. And I think it's like it's a good partnership and energy. And then as we do more stuff, more people come to us and are throwing music at us at this point.
What has the feedback from the audience been? And maybe, I guess everyone can kind of answer this question, but more specifically, Dennis and Numa, what has the response been like to these shows, and how important is that response from the audience for the shows?
I mean, it's been tremendous. I think with Roomy Lover Friends, it was our third series from Black and Sexy TV, and our first series that was kind of a larger world, even though it's only Jane Tamiko. I don't know. I just feel like it was a little bit different tone-wise. Yeah, more higher production value for sure. And 2012 was when we first started releasing Roomy Lover Friends, and because that was still kind of the bubbling of people even understanding who we were as Black and Sexy TV. In the beginning, the audience response is like half, oh, I like this, and half like, what is this? I'm not sure about this. We don't approach characters from what people are used to seeing on TV, like that perfect girl who makes the perfect choices, especially in Black TV. I think that, to me, the Tamiko audience was split also. Oh, I like this girl. Oh, this girl gets on my nerves, But now we know that that's a good sign when we hear that. If you're not hearing that, this girl gets on my nerves, and I like this girl, then you're probably doing something kind of mediocre. So in the beginning, that was kind of our first education to how the audience goes from not being sure about a series to this is their must-have series. I need it now. I need more minutes. I love Tamiko. I love Jay. And then for Hello Cupid, we were a little more seasoned. So, when that series came out, I don't remember the reviews being as mixed. I think it was pretty much like people were really excited about it. But the audience was like, oh, they didn't believe that the situation could ever happen, which I felt like a lot of the audience was just not being honest, because this situation happens with every set of girlfriends. If it's not 100% that you swap pictures and go out on, dates for each other, there's always something where you're telling that person how to text a guy, or you're advising them in a certain way where they wouldn't have done that, and then the guy likes it and it gets weird. This happens between friends. So it's just, there's a whole evolution, and it's very intimate, and it's a really great experience. But you guys should speak on.
Yeah, before we go to the audience, I guess each of you can talk about what the response that you've gotten from the audience has been.
I posted something on my Instagram the other day about this dad wrote on my Facebook page, And he said that he loved the series and he loved the last episode, the finale. And he said that it made him send it to his daughter to talk to her about the do's and don'ts of dating. Wow. And I felt that was so powerful. Other comments were like, wow, I'm gonna go do stuff like that with my boyfriend. And it's like, what else were y'all doing? Just going to the movies, going out to eat?
You got a funnel cake. What do you want? Like,
right, but it starts the healing process. It starts the communication. It starts the relationships with people in their homes, and that's what I love.
Yeah, I agree. The thing I like about this show the most, in the way it's depicted, is it's more realistic in the real world, because as we all know, relationships aren't just black and white, cut and dry. The dynamics between Jay and Tamiko are very messy. There's an ex-girlfriend who's coming around. There's, lack of communication between the two roommates or whatever. So that gives a real life, for lack of better words, depiction of how relationships are these days. You never know what's coming around the corner. Like in the last episode, everything was going so great, and then Jay opened that door, and here come Daddy. Yeah.
Brian, what have you heard about your graphics on social media?
I love it. I read all the comments, and it makes me sad when they say this photography sucks, and it makes me happy when it says it's good. But I only pay attention to the ones that say it's bad. It's really the most exciting thing about doing the YouTube stuff, because it's so instantaneous. I mean, you work really hard and you're up all night and you hit send, and then it's like boom, 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 boom. I hate it. Or this is great. Like, there have been episodes where we thought this is the greatest thing and people are gonna love it, and people hate it. And then there are ones where we're like, I don't know, should we upload it? I don't know. And then people really like it. So it really is the best thing, I think.
Ashley, what has the response been?
To look at the comments is my absolute favorite part of doing a show on the web. Is that it's an awesome and unique way to connect with fans and to get feedback. And I think as an actor, it's really cool, because you don't have that same luxury when you're on a network necessarily, or when you're in a movie. It's just not the same. But for me, like when I was a little girl, I remember watching some movie, and I remember saying to my dad, like, Dad, I hate this character. And he was like, good, that means the actor's doing their job. And I remember being like, I don't get it. I was young. I was probably like 6 or 7. But now that, I'm acting professionally, and like, I get it. I like that people sometimes hate Whitney, because that means that I'm doing my job. If people aren't invested, if people don't care, then what are we all doing? So I think that is beautiful. I love when people comment. I want people to continue to comment and give us feedback, whether good or bad, because it shows that you guys care and that we're doing our job.
The audience interaction with this has been such a highlight in my life, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I've been acting a long time, and I came from a place where I had been just working a lot in like film and television, and I realized that I wasn't giving like the credit that was due to web series. Like, I saw Hello Cupid and I was like, this is amazing, and then seeing the audience reaction to it completely blew me away. We're playing sort of heightened versions of ourselves, so I say a lot of sometimes weird things on the show, or things react to things like as if I Haley would. And there's always been a part of me that felt a little sort of in real life like I didn't really belong in like a certain group. Like, I've always been a little bit of like a floater and a drifter, and been like, do people really get me out there, And so seeing like the audience comments on things, like being like, oh my God, when Haley said this, or when Robin said this, or when that happened, or whatever, honestly made me feel like there are people out there in this world who like understand me. Like, there are other people who are going through like maybe the same stuff that I'm going through. There was one particular comment that was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm getting emotional talking about this. I'm sorry. Where she was like, wow, I've never seen another like Black woman who reacted. It was something that she was doing, or that my character Robin did, and so it really just made me feel like, wow, like there's other people out there who are like me, and I just feel like that was, that was really amazing to feel. And my dad was sick while we were shooting the first season of Hello Cupid, so being part of a project that people were so excited about just meant, it was definitely like a huge light in my life last year. And it's something that I'm so grateful for. I love connecting with the audience. Hello Cupid fans are like the most loyal ever. Like they're the first ones to be like commenting on my photos and like asking me questions and liking stuff. And, you know, I mean, it just, I like just want to be friends with everybody. You know?
You
can cry. He can. Oh, he can.
No, it's a loyal fan base, which is great. What Black and Sexy has, because you know the response is like everyone's spoken about. But when the band was on the show, I mean, like we got so much love from random people just hitting us up saying, "Found you on Hello Cupid," you know. And I'm like, they would have never found us otherwise, which was, you know, it was awesome. And then I love that I'm from Alabama, so my folks get to watch it, and like my Tuscaloosa, Alabama hometown, they like comment on it and stuff, and so that's always, you know, really cool and refreshing. And when I was home in Tuscaloosa, some random person who was there for the holidays was like, "Proud Dad," and then we took a picture together and posted it, and then you guys retweeted it. So it's like, you know, it's the communication with the audience is pretty amazing. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna turn it around to our audience. We got 2 questions.
So is it the same as that guy was as far as the contracts for the actors, and also as far as like all the different things that go into it, as getting locations and just even just getting crafty, those type of things, all the business type of things? Do you guys do everything, or do you hire people? Do you have like a lawyer, or like how do you guys do that?
We do everything, and we have a lawyer. And he would advise us not to answer every question that you have for us. But yeah, I mean, you know, in the beginning, it was less so, and we're getting our business tighter and tighter as we go along. But Hello Cupid and Roomy Lover Friends are both SAG, they're union shows. So with that comes a lot of business dealings that you have to figure out. But that's what we're doing.
It is, but also keep in mind, like, all the actors here work professionally on big budget stuff, and they're used to a certain professionalism, and we have a professionalism. We're professional, but we don't have a honeywag. We don't have, you know, all of the things that you have on a network show, and it takes a special kind of actor to come in and just be there and not worry about the fact that it's me with a little camera right here, and trust that they're not going to look bad.
It's not like we're just working for a production company. Black and Sexy TV is not just a company that we work for. This is a family type atmosphere.
Do we have one more question before we go?
Yes. So with the success of the Hello Cupid premiere and the That Guy finale, as far as, you know, pay-per-view, do you see in the near future Black and Sexy TV going full-time subscription based?
Yes, in the very near future. Yes, it's you know, we created a network, and so we know that it has to be a business at some point. It's a very new space for charging money, you know, and so it doesn't make financial sense not to charge money. So if we don't charge money, it won't be around too much longer. So I think much like when people open up a restaurant or a small business, it's like, you know, 2 years of just really being in debt, you know, or getting a loan or whatnot, and then you're hoping to turn a profit after the 3rd year. These pay-per-view events are really like a primer or a test for seeing what our audience is into, or what's the response going to be, or what the possibilities are. And it's really about just having a dialogue and communication. We've been talking about it for a very long time, and just implementing it is like each step it is a little scary, and it's like, oh shoot, is this going to work? You know what I mean? And so I think as far as getting to subscriptions, yes, that is the plan. We internally call ourselves Black Netflix. That's where we're looking at going. So.
And I guess the final question is more about the future of Black and Sexy. What can we expect to see coming from the future of Black and Sexy?
The very near future, we have to get back to work, is Yellow. Next episode of Yellow. We're going to get into some interactivity on the show where you vote on who you think Austin should date. So, we're opening up the show.
Because all he wants is love, apparently.
Because he's really looking for love, too.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. We've got the Jay and Sharice prequel coming up. We've got Becoming Nia We have some other very exciting shows in early stages of development. We're going into production on season 3 very soon, going into production on Hello Cupid pretty much next week. We're just very, 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 very busy. A lot of programming is coming your way.
All right. Well, on behalf of everyone here, I want to thank you guys for joining us and your questions and just being a part of it. Shayla Hill, Andre Fuller, Brian, Newman Ferrier, Dennis Dorch, Ashley Blaine Featherson, Haley Marie Norman, Brandon Scott, Austin J. And we thank you guys for joining us. Have a great night.